The story starts with a ticked-off mobster on his phone, complaining about a delay. He sees on his phone that the delivery is running late and starts complaining about kids these days. Then he gets up, all fired up, ranting about how politicians and companies don't do their jobs. With a bat in his hand, he says everyone should just do their job right. He then turns to a guy tied up upside down and asks if he's not right. The mobster says he's being professional, while the gagged hostage tries to scream. He says the guy's boss wasn't a pro, and that's why he annoyed someone important. The bad guy gets ready to rough him up and warns him not to move, or it's over. The tied-up guy struggles in fear, and the mobster yells, fed up, telling him to stay still. Right as he was about to hit the hostage, a delivery guy shows up in the background and announces the delivery. The gang leader turns around, surprised, and complains that the delivery guy took way too long to get there. But something feels off, and he asks who this guy is that just popped up. He wonders how the delivery guy got in since his men were standing guard outside. The camera focuses on the delivery guy's helmet, who doesn't say a single word to anyone. The delivery guy then casually walks over and drops the delivery box on the floor right in front of them. He crouches in front of the box and starts to open it to show what's inside. From his point of view, he starts counting the enemies, and the bad guys are completely confused. He pulls out a small device and calculates the price, adding some extra fees because it's nighttime. The boss yells at him, asking what he's doing there, but he just says he's going to charge more. Then the delivery guy calmly replies that the reason for the extra fee is a fight. With his face hidden by the helmet, he tells them not to take it personally. The gang leader thinks this is absurd, and his goons get ready to attack. The boss yells for everyone to take care of the delivery guy, who doesn't even move from his spot. In response, the delivery guy gives the food box a huge kick, sending it flying up. With that, the box smacks the first goon, who came at him right in the face. Right after, another dude tries to get him from behind with a knife, without him seeing. But the delivery guy is much faster, and grabs the guy's arm before the blade can connect. And, without a second thought, he lands a powerful elbow right in the guy's ribs. To finish the combo, he lands an uppercut that knocks the enemy out cold. In a very short time, he's already taken down a bunch of goons who tried to attack him. The remaining bad guys are scared, and the delivery guy says he's busy and in a hurry. Then he gestures with his hand, calling for all of them to come at him at once. The gang leader is in total shock and terrified of the delivery guy's strength. He's panicking about the situation and wonders what kind of maniac this guy is. The boss faces the delivery guy who took out his men and says makes no sense. He then desperately asks who sent him and how much cash he's making. The boss promises to double or even triple the payment just for the delivery guy to stop. But without even thinking, the delivery guy throws a punch right in the gang leader's face. With the boss on the floor, he points and says that this is a breach of the service contract. After taking everyone down, the delivery guy crouches next to the fallen boss on the floor. With the job done, he takes out his phone to snap a picture as proof of the mission. The picture is a selfie of him giving a thumbs up with the unconscious gang leader next to him. Then, he sends the photo as proof and already starts thinking about his next gig. Just then, he turns and notices the guy who was still tied up trying to ask for help. The hostage finally manages to spit out the cloth from his mouth and starts yelling loudly. He curses out the delivery guy for being late and asks if his family sent him as a rescue. The guy keeps screaming and asks if the delivery guy is deaf because he told him to untee him, but the guy replies that saving him isn't part of the order, leaving the hostage in shock. The delivery guy then turns his back to leave, and the hostage desperately begs him to stay. The delivery guy stops and puts something in the mouth of the man who was hanging upside down. He hands over his business card and tells the guy to place an official order if he wants help. Then he lifts his helmet a bit and says he'll take any fighting gig if the money's good. The scene changes, and he narrates that when an order comes in on his phone, his routine is simple. He shows his stained hand and says he just needs to fight, no questions asked. And in the end, he just gets paid for the service that was successfully completed. We find out it's been 2 years since he started this gig while he was in high school. The scene changes to a school hallway, and we see he was a very skilled kid. This is Lee Sang, an 18-year-old student who was making some serious cash for his age. Looking at his phone, he thinks about his big goal before becoming a real adult. His dream is to buy a luxury apartment in the most high and an expensive building in all of Seoul. But he complains that real estate prices have gone up again and everything is super expensive. Out of nowhere, he gets a notification for a deposit of over 1 million won. His total account balance is now over 52 million won. Looking out the window, he realizes that at this rate, it'll be impossible to buy that apartment. The last few jobs didn't pay very well, and he's still very far from his dream. He then starts to wonder if he should find another way to get more cash for his account. Frustrated, the boy sighs while staring at the classroom's ceiling, doing nothing. He even says out loud that he wishes a bunch of money would just fall from the sky right now. Right at that moment, he notices some trouble happening right next to him in the school hallway. A group of bullies surrounds a girl on the floor while their leader taunts her. The bully laughs at the situation while Lee Sang just watches everything from the side. The girl on the floor isn't scared and scares back at the bully with a look of pure hatred. The big guy gets annoyed by her glare and yells at her to stop staring at him. Then he kicks the girl and says that now she's going to learn her place. He continues to humiliate the girl, saying he heard her father passed away in debt. The bully says that what he's asking of her isn't such a difficult thing. With a disgusting smile, he tells the girl to just become his woman already. He offers her cash, but the girl keeps staring at him with a defiant look. The bully and his friend get ready to intimidate her some more but are interrupted. Lee Sang appears in front of the girl and calmly tells the bully to apologize to her. The bully gets mad about the interruption, and his friend is shocked by his courage. The friend then desperately yells that the guy is Lee Sang, but the other one doesn't get it. He explains that the guy is new and doesn't know that not even the upperclassmen mess with Lee Sang. But the bully scoffs and says there's no way he's going to apologize. Then he gets closer and asks if Lee Sang is the girl's boyfriend or something. The young man stares at the bully and asks why he's giving him orders. The big guy gets angry at his boldness and pulls out a knife to threaten our hero. With a furious look, he says he's going to make the student who challenged him seriously regret it. But before he can attack, his friend grabs him from behind and yells for him to stop. Scared, the friend apologizes on the other's behalf and drags him away from there. Lee Sang says they're the ones who should be apologizing to him and calls the two of them entitled. Just then, a small business card falls right onto the head of the girl who was on the floor. He turns around and tells her to call if she needs help, because he'll beat up anyone for cash. The guy even offers her a 2% discount since she's in a tough spot. The girl is left alone in the hallway, looking at the card she got from that mysterious guy. The card reads Paradise Deliverer Lee Sang, revealing his secret. She keeps looking at the card, thinking about the offer she just received from him. The scene changes to the end of the day, and the students are casually leaving the school. It's already 6:03 in the evening, and young Lee Sang is waiting for a job call. Sitting down, he complains that no calls are coming in, and that yesterday was much better than today. He's hanging out near his motorcycle and complains about how hard it is to make some money. Looking at the city, he wonders how many buildings there are out there in the world. And even with so many buildings, he laments not having a place to truly call his own. Suddenly, his phone rings with a new request from his special delivery service. A 10 million. One order flashes on the screen, and he's shocked by the amount. He looks at the city and checks the address of his new and expensive job. His eyes widen in surprise when he realizes where the delivery location is. The destination is Gangnam Tower Palace, the luxury building where he's always dreamed of living. Arriving at the location, he's impressed by the size of the building and can barely see the top. He finds it interesting because he's always wanted to know what the building was really like on the inside. Then our hero starts getting ready, putting on his delivery uniform. Right after, he puts the helmet on his head to hide his face. To finish, he adjusts his gloves and gets ready for the gig that's about to start. With the full uniform on, he says he's feeling motivated for the first time in months. Through the helmet's visor, we see his eyes focused on completing this mission. He says it's time to make money and enters the luxury building's hallway. The guy arrives at the door of apartment 801 and gets ready to make the delivery. He notices it's a penthouse and wonders why a rich person would hire him for this. At that moment, the apartment door opens by itself, revealing a completely dark place inside. He enters the dark place and announces that the delivery has arrived for whoever placed the order. With his phone in hand, he wonders why all the lights in the apartment are off. So he uses his phone's flashlight to light up the place and see where he's stepping. The light reveals some potted plants with red tags on them all over the place. He walks through the huge, luxurious apartment, using only the light from his phone as a guide. Tired of not being able to see, he takes off his helmet and complains that the darkness is getting in the way. The guy enters another room and notices that all the furniture also has tags on it. Suddenly, he sees a bunch of fancy shoes around him in the darkness. Several men in suits and masks emerge from the shadows with weapons pointed at him. One of the guys wastes no time and lunges forward to land a blow on our hero. But the delivery guy is faster and lands a punch right in the middle of the guy's throat. With the first enemy on the ground, he stands still, waiting to see what the others will do. The boy looks at his own hand and wonders what the heck is going on in this place. He notices that those guys don't look like they own the luxury apartment. Annoyed, he pulls out his phone and complains that the client should have told him how many people there were. The guys wonder who the kid is, and one of them warns that he's not a normal guy. The group's leader then orders his men to attack him all at once, without stopping. Several guys charge at him at once, but our hero easily dodges and blocks everything. Without a care, he keeps looking at his phone and counting the guys he takes down. The leader of the guys is shocked at how easily the young man is finishing them off. Filled with rage, he goes after the delivery guy to try to end this quickly. Our hero dodges the boss's attack with a quick and effortless move. He continues to fight the guys while still holding his phone in one hand. With agility, he kicks one enemy and dodges a blow from another who had a back. Then he grabs a piece of wood from the floor to use as a makeshift weapon. With the wood, he lands a solid hit on one of the guys, breaking the piece on impact. The other guys are scared of the young delivery guy's strength and skill. He continues counting and casually says the number 5, while looking at his phone. Without even looking back, he lands a kick on another guy who was trying to get close. Suddenly, a much larger guy grabs him from behind, trying to hold him with great force. The giant says that the weight difference is everything, and that he'll crush him easily. But he's shocked to see that the young man isn't even bothered by his bare hug. He's stunned by the strength of the guy's grip, who holds his hands with ease. The young man complains that a hug from behind between two men is a pretty gross thing. With a burst of strength, he manages to break free from the grip, and the guy screams in pain. The leader with the knife in his hand wonders why the delivery guy won't fight him. The young man then gets behind another guy and asks if he's the one who's supposed to go there. The leader gets furious with the taunt and curses the guy who defeated his men. The scene cuts back to the apartment door, again showing the number 801. Suddenly, the door is busted open from the inside with an absurd amount of force. With the last guy on the floor, the young man says that the 7th was the end and that the job is over. With everything done, he thought the job was finished, but he was very mistaken, because the young man says to himself that maybe this thing isn't over yet. At that moment, a hand stops his punch, and he realizes there's still someone else there. The boy is in shock and wonders who could have stopped his blow so easily. Looking at the person, He recognizes the girl he helped earlier at school. He then asks, completely surprised, what the heck she's doing coming out of that apartment. The girl responds with another question, and her eyes widen at the situation. Then she shows her phone and reveals that she was the one who placed the delivery order all along. She looks at the guys on the floor and comments that the job must not have been easy at all. The student says he took care of all of them without a scratch, and that's why he's useful. Completely confused, the delivery guy can only ask what she means by that. The girl stares at him with a serious look and gets ready to make one heck of a proposal. Then she asks our hero to do a job together with her from now on. She explains that her safety is at risk, and she needs to hire his strength to protect herself. She says the gig won't be any different, but the young man cuts her off, very annoyed. The boy yells that he doesn't work as a private driver because that breaks his rules. He also remembers that she's broke and that he heard the bully say so at school. With that, he asks how she's going to pay the delivery fee for the service he just provided. The girl just nods her head in a calm and somewhat thoughtful way. She then asks if he accepts cash, and the boy tells her to just pay up. He warns her that the price will be higher because of the fees and that there's no discount. Suddenly, a wad of cash flies in his direction, surprising the delivery guy. Several bundles of money fall to the floor right at his feet, leaving the guy in shock. She offers 100 million won for every case he agrees to work on with her. The young woman says she doesn't care about his rules because they really need each other right now. Looking at the money, she says that their interests align with each other. The young man bends down and picks up the cash from the floor, still not believing what he's seeing. His jaw drops when he sees it's 100 million won in cold, hard cash. The girl smiles and says that now his eyes look a little more at ease. The delivery guy stares at her, sweating, as she prepares to ask one last time. With an intense gaze, she asks once and for all if he will accept the job with her or not. The story takes place in a quiet city at night. A boy approaches an ATM to make a deposit, so he parks his motorcycle in front of the bank to use the machine. In his hand, a 50,000 won bill is ready to be deposited. This is our blonde-haired protagonist, and he's holding a card. With his gloved hand, he inserts the card into the machine. The card is accepted, and the transaction begins. The young man then stares intently at the ATM screen. His face shows deep concentration on what he's doing. The screen lights up, displaying the available banking options. The transaction is completed, and his balance increases significantly. The boy is shocked when he sees the amount of money on the screen. He can't believe his eyes and wonders if it's real. A memory from 2 hours ago comes to his mind. A black-haired girl asked if he accepted the proposal. He looked suspiciously at the money she was offering. However, he stared at her with a doubtful look. The girl then just confirms that the deal was made. But the guy thought she was a fool for thinking he would fall for it. He accuses her, saying she must be messing with him. She mocks the boy and praises his suspicious performance. A gloved hand holds stacks of money as proof, but the young man takes one of the bills and checks it closely. He says the smell and texture of the money feel fake. She then asks how he figured out her plan. At this, the girl gets annoyed and warns him that he'll regret it. Then he simply gives the girl a rude gesture, and he leaves, telling her never to look for him again. Back in the present, the guy is in shock over the balance. He considers going back and taking all the money she offered. The thought haunts him, and he thinks he's going crazy. His expression is one of pure panic as he realizes his huge mistake. Then a cryptocurrency chart on his phone skyrockets. He realizes that all those stacks of money were real. The guy starts to laugh, saying that trends are interesting, but suddenly, the currency's chart plummets by 99%. We see the two young people leaving the bank after the commotion. The boy punches the bank wall in pure frustration. He looks at his phone and sees the crypto value collapsing. His face twists in anger as he clenches his fist. Moments later, police officers surround him to arrest him for vandalism. The young man is taken to the police station to be questioned. He finds out the repairs to the bank are going to be very expensive. His look is one of complete despair and defeat. The bill for the damages comes to almost 10 million won. Completely broke, he walks alone down a dark alley. From behind, he seems to be carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. The next day, he arrives in front of his school. The boy looks exhausted and remembers what he said yesterday. The same girl appears and offers him a chance to undo his mistake. She faces him with a serious expression, waiting for an answer. Other students around them watch their interaction, but the protagonist is now facing a school bully. He says these guys are different from the usual cowards. The bullies get ready to rough up the guy. Against all expectations, the blonde guy runs away scared. We see another boy named Minsiup on the ground, all beaten up. The bully holds him by the hair, looking very annoyed. The protagonist says he was just testing the waters before making a move. Now he's facing a guy with a bat and thinking about how he lost. He tries to negotiate, saying he'll take half of the 100 million. The girl asks for a 10 million advance for something. Then she holds out her hand, expecting to receive the money. On his knees among the others, the protagonist asks for the contract, saying he'll sign it. The girl then hands him the document with a serious look on her face. With a furious look, he prepares for what's to come. He then grabs her arm and reaffirms that he'll do the job. The girl just watches him in silence, seeming surprised by his attitude. She complains that he's been speaking to her very arrogantly. The blonde guy replies that this isn't the right way to ask for a favor. Nearby, some female students watch the scene. Not understanding what's happening, the guy looks nervous on the phone, while the girl watches him closely. Next, the boy bows before her, showing his regret. The young woman takes her ID from her bag, showing she's a sophomore. She then mentions the name of a student from class 1 named Hyo Minsiup. He's terrified to hear her say that he deserves a worse punishment. At that moment, the scene changes to a luxurious golf course. A golf ball flies through the blue sky after a powerful swing. A man is praised for his perfect shot by 2 other gentlemen. Suddenly, his phone rings, and his son's contact appears on the screen. The man answers the call, asking what went wrong. On the other end of the line, his son seems extremely angry about something, with a cigarette in his hand. He says he wants to take someone out. The guy's face on the phone shows all the hatred he's feeling. We see that he's all beaten up and sitting in a dark room. The father asks if he's referring to Song Jeongchil's daughter. The young man can only call out for his father with a voice full of rage. He continues, saying that the girl, Song Sonha, was to blame for everything. The father listens intently to every word of his son's account. He says the girl had him beaten up and then shaved his head. A photo of him unconscious and bald was spread all over social media. Crying, the guy asks his father what he should do now. The father is silent for a moment, thinking of a solution for his son. Calmly, he assures his son that everything will be okay and that he'll take care of it all. Then, the man turns around with a very serious expression on his face. He calls out to a man in a suit named Minjin, who was next to him. The son continues to lament, saying he's ashamed to go to school. The father complains to Minjin that his son can't even handle one girl. In a flashback, we see the young man tied up and gagged on the floor of some place. Despair and fear were visible on the guy's face in that situation. Furious, the father starts talking about what happened to his son. The scene cuts to a delivery guy looking at unconscious bodies on the floor. This is Bae Minjin, and he finds beating people up more fun than making deliveries. The boss asks how he plans to get rid of the bodies there. The delivery guy bows and says he's counting on the boss's help. He then promises a bonus, showing a briefcase with gold bars. Minjin's face shows total determination to complete the mission. He seems excited about the new task and even shows his fangs. Minjin meets another man and complains about picking up deliveries in places like this. The man shows a delivery app on his phone. Meanwhile, the boss complains that his son is useless for not being able to handle a girl. Suddenly, the man in the suit grabs him by the collar and threatens him. The two stare at each other with huge tension growing between them. Minjin warns him with a threatening, "Look not to lay a finger on him." The other guy laughs, introducing himself as the manager and calling Minjin useless. He says he'll leave the matter in the delivery guy's hands to resolve. Minjin then looks at his phone and sees he's received a new notification. The phone screen displays information about the girl, who is the target. Through his helmet, we see his eye focused on the device's screen. The manager says he'll handle the case as he sees fit. The father lights a cigarette and demands the job be done without a trace. On the phone, an order notification appears, and he accepts the delivery. Minjin gives a sinister smile, showing he's ready for the mission. The screen confirms a payment of 50 million won for the job. We return to the protagonist, who is carefully reading the contract details. He understands that during the contract, he is forbidden from accepting other jobs. The girl then informs him that no matter what happens, he must always stay by her side. With a serious look, the protagonist asks if she can swear to what she just said. He looks at her with a thoughtful expression, awaiting her response. On the phone, the guy scoffs, saying that's a very cheesy line to say. The blonde guy then agrees with a hand gesture and accepts the conditions set by the girl. She confirms her promise and guarantees she will fulfill her part of their agreement. The school bell rings, and the girl hands him a pass to get in. The girl informs him that from that moment on, he is her official delivery guy. At this, he thinks with relief that his rent is paid, but worries about the next bill. Then the guy asks why she isn't sending a 50 million job. The young man points to the school and asks where she's going right now. With a determined expression, she replies that she's going to her job. Surprised, he asks if she wants him to skip class, since he needs the attendance, but the girl simply ignores him and keeps walking, not caring about his classes. Moments later, the two are seen together on a yellow scooter around the city. Next, we see the imposing facade of the school, called Dodong High School. The girl stops in front of a group of people in a dark and very suspicious place. Sitting in a chair, a man in a pink shirt tells someone to take something off. A group of girls and a bald guy bow before someone. A guy sitting down talks about telling the story to his brother, and that the delivery girl has arrived. With a bored look, a blonde man says hi to the newcomer. He asks everyone to calm down and warns that he will repeat his words one last time. Apparently, the group's leader orders them to remove something they are wearing. A stronger man threatens to use force if they don't obey the orders given. Our protagonist enters the room in his uniform, announcing the delivery. The guy in the orange jacket recognizes him as a student from Tangio High. The blonde leader seems annoyed and questions him about an order he supposedly made. The other bully gets furious because the order was placed in his name. Then the delivery guy lands a powerful kick right in the bully's face. He then just says that the delivery is for that guy on the floor. The blow is so strong we see a trail of light, showing the impact's power. With the impact, the bully is thrown backward, falling unconscious. The blonde leader calmly asks if he made the delivery as requested. The delivery guy looks down toward the girl, who made the original request. A cell phone falls from the pocket of the guy who was just knocked out on the floor. On the ground, he tries to unlock the phone, but the facial recognition fails. The screen displays an error message, saying the feature is not available. At this moment, the contract girl just sighs at the whole situation. The protagonist holds her and says the goal was to mess up the guy's face. The other bullies are shocked by what they are witnessing. A new group of guys appears at the door looking confused by the scene. The guy then asks the girl about the other female students who are there, standing back to back. He shouts, waiting for the next order. She orders the newcomers to go to a corner and raise their arms. The protagonist threatens them, and one of them agrees to obey immediately. Frightened by the situation, he turns to the girl and asks what she's doing. She simply ignores him and tells him to keep moving. Next, we see the gates of a different high school. A teacher questions what's happening. Since it's not even lunchtime, our hero holds a guy by the hair very aggressively. On the phone, the delivery is confirmed with a photo of the subdued bully. A teacher runs desperately through the hallways, asking for help. Running in a panic, he passes by the school's faculty room. The teacher yells that a crazy person showed up and started attacking the students. Then the protagonist covers the teacher's mouth, telling him to be quiet. He apologizes to the other teachers, saying it was a prank. Another delivery is confirmed on the app with a photo of another victim. One more delivery confirmation shows another student who was defeated. And once again, a delivery is successfully completed by the protagonist. Now the next target is Ju Jang-hun, a senior at Buncheong High. Soon, the delivery is completed, and the guy is also subdued like the others. A box shows several cell phones and wallets that were collected from the victims. The protagonist zips up his delivery bag, storing the bully's items. The girl warns him that there's only one place left to go, but it will be the hardest. The protagonist carefully observes the situation before acting. The delivery guy then asks the girl if they are really a team. The girl looks at him and asks what he means by that. He says he'll do what she commands, but their contract is mutual, and there's no communication. With that, he questions if she shouldn't at least share the objective. The girl then denies it, saying they aren't partners or a team. She states that their relationship is that of a client and a delivery guy, based on money. That's why it's natural for her not to tell him anything about her plans. But she reveals she's collecting the cell phones to find someone's contact information, and her final objective is to deliver the protagonist to this person. Then the young woman looks at him and asks if he finally understands the situation. Suddenly, a truck appears and smashes right into their scooter. The delivery guy acts fast and hugs the girl to protect her from the impact. On the ground with her in his arms, he asks if she's okay. At this, the guy starts to take off one of his black gloves. The girl is on top of him with a surprised expression on her face. With an annoyed face, she watches him in silence for a moment. The guy then replies that he is not okay at all after what happened. He laments that his motorcycle was destroyed, and he still has 28 payments left. Inside the truck, the blonde man from before yells that they were the ones who took his cell phone. He gets furious with the driver and asks why he couldn't stop them. The driver smiles and apologizes, saying he was a little rusty. He then asks the guy to wait in the car and gets out of the truck. The man then opens the back of his delivery vehicle, surrounded by boxes. He says he's going to make the delivery and send them packing. The girl notices that one of the cell phones they took is broken. She gets annoyed seeing that all the devices were destroyed in the accident. On top of that, she notices something even more worrying in front of her. The truck is from Gadu Courier, a company she didn't want to run into. Crouching, the young woman warns him to be careful with that delivery company. The protagonist then approaches the truck and calls out to the older man. With a furious look, he demands that the driver pay for his destroyed motorcycle. The driver seems to ignore him and continues looking for something among the boxes. He grumbles that the options he's finding aren't good enough, until finally, he seems to find what he was looking for. With a frightening smile, he picks up a long, thin box. The guy explains that his motorcycle was custom, made in one of a kind. He warns that he's also going to charge for the emotional distress the accident caused. Suddenly, the driver jumps from the truck, wielding a huge scythe. The older man says he's a little rusty with the scythe he's holding. He mocks the guy, saying he only survived because the blow barely missed. The driver warns him that he won't last long as the guy clenches his fist. The man says he should have dodged instead of blocking the powerful attack. Even by blocking the blow, he ends up getting hurt on his side. The man laughs and says he understands the young man's desire to show off. He warns that he's seen many young people like him who can't control their fire. The protagonist then prepares to receive the man's next blow. The guy says it's been a while since he fought with a long weapon, so he miscalculated. The driver stares at him with a look of pure surprise and anger. He warns the guy that showing off too much can end up costing him dearly. With a shout, the man charges forward to attack the protagonist with everything he's got. The delivery guy readies his fist to block the side's attack. With a powerful punch, the delivery guy manages to destroy his opponent's weapon. The driver is shocked and speechless at what just happened. The protagonist says that now he's got the hang of the fight. An aura of power suddenly starts to emanate from the guy's fist. He challenges the man to attack him with something else and promises to block everything. The driver stares at the broken shaft of the scythe, not believing his eyes. With a sigh, he holds what's left of his weapon's handle. The man says the guy reminds him of his younger, more reckless self. He wonders how he managed to survive living that way. The driver then disassembles the scythe's handle, revealing its two parts. He then turns and calls to the blonde guy, asking for help in the fight. The driver scolds him for being afraid of a situation like this. The blonde young man looks completely terrified by what he's seeing. He complains, saying he's the client and shouldn't have to fight. Suddenly, a blast of fire hits him right in the middle of the street. The driver asks the blonde guy if he's ever had a part-time job. He complains that parents these days spoil their children too much. The man asks if the guy knows what it's like to load and unload boxes. From a distance, the girl desperately screams the protagonist's name. He turns and sees her standing there, looking at him with a serious expression. The girl reminds him that he's on the job and must act like a professional. She says the fight is too unfavorable for him to use only his fists. The delivery guy cuts her off, saying that fighting is his specialty. He warns her not to dare give him orders on how he should fight. The girl gets annoyed with the way he's talking to her right now. With one punch, the protagonist shatters a rock flying toward him. A large metal sphere with spikes comes flying in his direction. The driver then gets ready to attack with his new weapon. With a confident smile, he prepares for the next attack. The man praises the guy's attitude of keeping his promises. Crouched on the ground, the protagonist just watches his opponent. The driver then asks what his fists are made of. He complains to the blonde young man for not throwing the weapons fast enough. The blonde guy gets irritated and tells him to do the job himself. The driver threatens him, saying that if he stops again, he'll be fired, and the guy is terrified by the threat. With a cry of fear, he throws the boxes at the driver. One of the boxes flies at high speed toward the protagonist. All the boxes are thrown at the delivery guy at once. He manages to destroy one of the metal spheres with his fist. The driver is shocked to see the guy's strength. He then uses the scythe's handle to launch a box with a blade. The protagonist dodges the attack with a quick move. He then braces himself for the driver's next attack. The man watches him in silence, seeming surprised by his skill. Next, he throws a kind of shield with nails at the guy. The delivery guy shatters the shield with a single, well-aimed punch. We see the driver's hand firmly gripping one of the boxes. He then throws several boxes at the same time in the hero's direction. The protagonist manages to dodge all the thrown boxes. He then catches one of the boxes flying toward him. With a swift move, the driver throws a wave of shurikens. The man grinds his teeth as he prepares for the next attack. He grabs a makeshift spear with a box on the tip. The box on the tip of the spear weighs 500 kilograms. With a powerful blow, the guy manages to block the spear's attack. The makeshift spear's handle breaks, from the force of the impact. The driver then jumps and tries to land a kick on the protagonist. He has an expression of surprise and exhaustion on his face. On the ground, the blonde guy says he managed to throw all the boxes. The protagonist picks up his broken helmet from the ground. He says it's now time to settle the score for the motorcycle. The driver faces him and says that show-offs are the first to fall. A past scene shows a younger driver wearing a cap. He was telling the others to back off because he could handle it alone. One of his companions scolded him for acting alone and not following the plan. They were facing a single man who had been hired by a large company. The younger driver questions what a large corporation is. He scoffs, saying the opponent is just a fool who's never seen a real fight. The young man continues, saying that showing off is for the weak, and that doesn't apply to him. Moments later, he and his group are completely defeated by the opponent. The adversary repeats the guy's words, saying that showing off is for the weak, on his knees and terrified. The young driver agrees with what he said. The enemy says that his seniors always warned him not to show off, but he reveals with a smile that all those seniors are gone now. He admits he took out some of them, but will spare the guy to have someone to talk to. The adversary looks at him and says they will prove they were right all along. Back in the present, the driver decides to abandon his old fighting style. He threw it all away and hid from the world to live a simple life. All this for fear of one day meeting that man again. For 30 years, he avoided any confrontation so as not to draw attention, but now he's faced with someone very similar to his old rival. His first instinct is to drop everything and just run from the situation. He feels that facing the protagonist is beyond his abilities. For the driver, fighting him now would just be showing off with no chance of winning. Even so, he prepares to fight with a determined expression. The protagonist looks at him with a confused expression, not understanding his attitude. The man then wonders if his life as a fugitive is really worth it. He decides he can no longer live on the run. Growing old in fear, the driver moves forward, saying that if he runs now, he'll never stop. With a shout, he says that in his glory days, he also hit hard. The guy smiles and says that's the first thing he's liked seeing today. With a prepared punch, the driver runs to attack the protagonist. But the delivery guy is faster and lands a powerful punch to his face. The blow is so strong that the driver is launched into the air. After the victory, the protagonist turns to leave the scene. He says the man doesn't need to pay for the motorcycle because he'll be rich soon. Suddenly, the blonde guy yells furiously at both of them because of the fight. The protagonist notices something strange, and his expression turns more serious. The blonde guy grabs the girl and uses her as a hostage, threatening the delivery guy. He then puts a knife to the girl's neck to show he's not kidding. The guy yells, asking where his cell phone is and threatening to hurt her. He presses the blade against her skin to increase the pressure. The girl reacts quickly and headbutts the kidnapper in the nose. Next, she lands a precise kick right in the guy's sensitive area. The blonde guy falls to the ground, writhing in pain, as she watches him. The protagonist asks if he thought she wouldn't be prepared for something like this. The girl says that in a one-on-one, she simply defeated him. A strange truck with a sharp point drives down the street. That the protagonist steps on the head of the fallen blonde guy. He says he was afraid something terrible would happen to her. The girl turns and starts walking away, ignoring what he said. She walks past the broken cell phones on the ground without a care. The protagonist watches her in silence with a serious expression. He says that accidents happen in the delivery business. The guy points at her and says his job is to fight, not to protect. The girl then firmly holds his hand and looks at him. The two look at each other in silence for a brief moment. She asks if his hand is okay after so many punches. The delivery guy is speechless at her sudden concern, embarrassed. He stammers that he's fine and wonders if she's worried. The girl sighs and calls him a stubborn idiot, who leaves her speechless. She scolds him for risking his hands. which are his tools of the trade. The girl gives him a final warning, saying that next time she'll send him back. The guy gets flustered and just laughs at the awkward situation. The fallen driver praises the guy and tells the girl not to be so hard on him. He thanks the protagonist for awakening his fighting spirit. The man offers to help them, saying that strength isn't everything. The guy refuses the help, and the driver asks to be helped up. The delivery guy asks how they'll get to the next location without the motorcycle. From a distance, the driver warns them that they will both be gone soon. He explains that their names are on the priority delivery list. The protagonist and the girl wonder what a priority delivery is. The girl looks worried and says that things are moving too fast. The driver complains about being ignored and explains what the delivery is. It's a system where any delivery person can accept the same order. Being on the list means they are a target for all delivery people. The fallen man warns that they will be hunted 24 hours a day. The protagonist is shocked by the news he just received, but right after, a sinister smile spreads across his face. He celebrates, saying that now the fights will come to him, and he'll even get paid. The driver calls him crazy and admires him, asking to be his partner. With a disdainful look, he denies the fallen man's request. The girl says he'll never be her partner and tells him not to get attached. The man says he's a professional delivery guy and doesn't mix feelings. He then throws a dog collar in the protagonist's direction. The driver offers to serve him not as a partner, but as a dog. The girl says that if he's willing to be her dog, she'll accept him. Lying on the ground, the driver looks at the collar with a smile. He says if he were younger, he wouldn't hide his feelings for her. The protagonist is disgusted by the scene and their interaction. The girl warns that there's still one delivery location left, and they're out of time. The girl puts the collar on the blonde guy who was unconscious. She says he can replace the cell phones that were broken. Her eyes shine as she plans to extract all the information from him. She states that she's going to make the guy tell her everything he knows. The scene changes to a panoramic view of the city at sunset. The protagonist asks if that is the last delivery location. The girl confirms and warns him that it will be the most difficult delivery of the day. The guy realizes they are in front of his own school. He complains that they could have come here at the beginning of the day. The girl explains that she left the school for last to avoid problems. The driver appears and says he tied up the blonde guy as she asked. We see the young man tied up and gagged in a wheelbarrow. The girl asks what else he needs her to do there. The driver praises her for her courage and asks her out. The protagonist smells dust and realizes something has happened. The girl says she already knows and seems to be aware of the situation. She notices a delivery motorcycle parked near the school gate. Their destination is the student council room on the 5th floor. The room's window, which is always closed, now has its lights on. The girl deduces that someone has already acted to prevent their delivery, or perhaps they themselves are the real target of that trap. A figure runs through the dark hallway in the opposite direction from them. A delivery guy in a blue uniform appears and complains about them being late. He says he already took out everyone in the council room and got bored. The driver comments that there were no other students left in the school. He then realizes that the newcomer doesn't follow the basic rules. The driver accuses him of breaking the rules by attacking outside of the order. Suddenly, the driver's finger is cut off by a quick strike. The blue delivery guy attacks him with impressive speed. He warns the driver not to point his finger at him again. The driver's hand is completely removed in the blink of an eye. The blue delivery guy says he's not interested in hunting small targets. He says that at first, he thought it was just another high school girl, but when he saw the target's photo, he got extremely excited about the mission. With a psychotic smile, he says he could barely contain his excitement. His phone screen shows the girl's photo as the delivery target. The blue delivery guy then looks at the protagonist next to the girl. with a sinister smile. He says it's been a long time since they've seen each other. The blonde guy stares at him with a serious look and recognizes him instantly.